Hello, Feuzion. My name is Alex Hughes, the host of Fusion News. Today is February 28th. Tomorrow is March 1st, and I am your host, Alex Hughes. I am joined right now on Google Hangouts by Meredith Gorman. She is a reporter at the Boston Herald down there in Boston. We'll be talking about the Patriots, Red Sox. Spring training started about a week ago or a weekend to the spring training season, so lots to talk about Boston sports. So, Meredith, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Alex, I'm doing well, thanks. How's it going with you?
Good. So, of course, down there in Boston, what does it feel? Are the Patriots fans still, getting over that very surprising Super Bowl comeback win? Or do you feel like the Patriots and Red Sox fans are now moving away from that excitement, celebrating the Patriots win, now back putting their focus on the Boston Red Sox?
It's funny with Boston sports fans, I feel like, especially the younger ones, they've lived through so many championships right now that it does feel like the excitement from the Super Bowl has kind of subsided a little bit. People are still talking to each other like, wow, I still can't believe that the Patriots won the Super Bowl. But in terms of, the excitement kind of still being all over the place, I personally think it's kind of died down. If there's one thing about the Patriots organization, it's that they're already focusing on getting another ring next year. I'm sure you've seen that too. Apparently, Bill Belichick named his boat 6 rings, already anticipating winning another Super Bowl. So I think that just kind of shows the mindset of everyone in Boston. And you could say, some people could say the Boston sports fans are spoiled, Patriots fans are spoiled, and I think there's just that culture of winning that Patriots fans are used to right now with Belichick and Brady kind of in their dynasty right now. But yeah, I think a lot of eyes are now on the Red Sox, and people are wondering what's going to happen with the Patriots in free agency, of who they're going to pick up, who they're going to let go. So now I think everybody's just looking forward.
Out the area, they're still so surprised that the Patriots came back from a 28-3 deficit at halftime. What was going through your mind at halftime? Did you already count this Patriots team out at halftime, or did you hold some hope for the Patriots to make that amazing comeback? They actually did.
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that because a lot of people, think, oh, the Patriots can really come back from everything. I'm one of those people. But after watching that first half, I thought the chances of the Patriots coming back, especially from, the biggest deficit in Super Bowl history, was just impossible. At that point, there had never been a Super Bowl game that had gone into overtime. I didn't think it was possible for them to come back. So I actually had my what I was going to say all planned out, revolving around the Patriots losing. I went down to set up in the post-game press conference area at the end of the third quarter and watch the rest of the game from downstairs. And I was all set up in the area where the Patriots would have gone if they had lost. So needless to say, I think we were all pretty shocked down there when the game went into overtime. And once it went into overtime, I mean, I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind that the Patriots weren't going to win that game. It was just unbelievable. One thing that I found it was really sad was Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, and his family came down for the post-game press conferences, like Matt Ryan's, and they looked so sad. And my heart kind of broke for the Falcons too. They played so well. If there was one team that was going to beat them, it would have been the Patriots in that way, but it was insane. What did you think of it?
Well, I call that one of the greatest Super Bowl games of all time. It was like a boxing match,
Yeah.
and then like the final ending of that game was the Patriots knocking out the Falcons, and that's how I, perceived that game, and I called it one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time. And, if you look at it all around, the commercials weren't terrible, and the halftime performance by Lady Gaga was pretty well too, right?
Yeah, Lady Gaga was awesome out there. I can't believe how much stuff they put into that performance. They set up the stage and all the lights and stuff really quickly. This year, halftime was a little bit longer than it had been in years past. But regardless, all of the people bring out all the equipment for the stage in like 5 minutes and get it all set up. And it's quite a production. Lady Gaga was awesome this year. At one point, everybody in the stadium turned on their cell phone flashlights to make some visual it looked cool in the stadium, but probably looked cooler on TV too. Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Told me the other day that one of the Falcons players was blaming Lady Gaga's halftime performance for the Falcons' poor performance in the second half, which I don't know if you could necessarily put the blame to that.
Yeah. That's interesting because there's not really, anything directly leading to her performance, leading the Falcons to a bad halftime or bad second half of the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at it, really, I mean, I don't think the Falcons had a bad quarter, really. I think the Patriots just, I don't know what Belichick and the guys said to each other in the locker room at halftime, but there clearly was a big change of momentum for the Patriots. I know Tom Brady's mom was going through a lot this past year, and Brady spoke about it a lot in the postseason. He got more in depth Super Bowl week about his mom's cancer battle, and this was the first game that his mom came to all season long, and I know he was used to his parents coming a lot more than that. So if you heard Edelman mic'd up during the game, at one point he said to Brady, like, "This is for your mom, this is for your mom." And I think that made the win for Brady sweeter than ever. And he mentioned that. He said, he's won, plenty of Super Bowls in the past, but this one was the sweetest one for him. I'm sure it was more than just coming back from that 25-point deficit.
Well, Meredith, we'll switch gears now and talk some spring training. Red Sox, of course. The Red Sox, how have they been it's only been, a week at least, 6 games for the spring training season. And how is this Red Sox team looking? I know they got Chris Sale over the offseason, and, of course, they had David Price and Rick Porcello. And, this Red Sox team, they have lost. David Ortiz, going, he retired. So that's a big hole to fill in that lineup. But they got Chris Sale in the starting rotation. And if David Price, if he can fix that bad season he had last year, this Red Sox team could be okay, right?
Yeah, last season the pitching was such a problem. There always seemed to be something going on with the pitching, and I think the team did fall apart in the postseason, but just the recurring problem all season was pitching. So now it seems like they've fixed it with Chris Sale's addition. They've got basically 3 aces right now. They've got, Chris Sale, Rick Porcello, and David Price. And I think they're going to be a really fun team to watch this year. I think I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I do think that they could be World Series contenders. I'm pushing a little bit there, but in terms of their pitching, I think that problem should be fixed. Obviously, first year in Boston for David Price was a little bit rough. Fans were definitely pretty harsh on him, especially considering how much the Red Sox are paying him. But I think at the end of the day, he could have just had a slumpy year getting used to being in Boston. And I have a good feeling about David Price's performance this coming season. In terms of filling Big Papi's role, I think, that's kind of been looming over everybody's head. What are they going to do? They can't really fill his spot. I mean, he was such an irreplaceable member of the team, but I think someone like Hanley Ramirez would be a good person to at least fill his shoes as much as the team can. Him and David Ortiz are very close. He told the media that David has been kind of encouraging him to step into a leadership role with the team and I think be more of a louder presence in the clubhouse because Hanley said he's more on the quiet side. So I think if there's one person to kind of fill that spot that David Ortiz had, it will be Hanley Ramirez. But look, David Ortiz is such an icon here in Boston that it's tough for anyone to fill those shoes. And I don't think anybody really expects any guy on the team to truly fill that role because of who David Ortiz was. And I think he'll definitely be around the locker room this season. Everybody is praying that he makes some kind of return, but I think that's a far off dream for every Red Sox fan. I don't think he'll be back playing.
Right. So, Meredith, I have to say, a lot of my viewers are from upstate New York, and there are a lot of Yankee fans around here, and I'm one of those. So, a lot of my viewers might not be happy with you already calling this Red Sox team potentially World Series contender because they won those Yankees back in the World Series, and they haven't been there since 2009, and they haven't been in the playoffs since 2014. So, do you think the New York Yankees could potentially be a high competition team for this Red Sox team since they are a fairly young team, and this is the team that doesn't have the starting pitcher that they need to make the playoffs potentially, like the Red Sox didn't have 2 years ago. So, do you see this Yankee team potentially, causing some trouble for the Red Sox?
Look, I think anytime the Red Sox and the Yankees play, there's always a ton of competition between the two teams. That rivalry, in my opinion, is the greatest rivalry in baseball, in Major League Baseball. I'm sure you would agree with that too. I grew up in Rochester, New York, so there were plenty of Yankees fans around there, since there aren't really any MLB teams in Western New York. But look, I think the Yankees could give the Red Sox some trouble. There's always just that rivalry between the two teams. The emotions always get heated when those two guys play. Maybe lesser now that A-Rod is out of the lineup for the Yankees, but that being said,
out of the lineup for the Red Sox.
Exactly. So I think without those two guys kind of bringing the fire, and the so-called, when all the fans knew A-Rod was coming to Fenway, they'd all boo him. So without him there and without David Ortiz, I think other guys might step in and fill those roles to kind of bring the animosity and rivalry back in some way, shape, or form. But definitely think that guys bring their energy and their fire in that series whenever they play each other.
Yeah. And Meredith, we'll switch gears, and before we wrap up this interview, I want to talk a little about your career and how you got into this career of sports broadcasting. And I want you to talk about your job right now and how you got into this job as a sports broadcaster there in Boston.
Sure. So I went to school here in Boston, and I actually transferred here. I went to SUNY Fredonia, a school in Western New York, for 2 years, and that was where I decided I wanted to be a reporter. I knew I wanted to cover sports. Boston was a great sports market, in my opinion, to try and immerse myself in. So I transferred to Northeastern, and as soon as I got here, I was open to taking any opportunity that I could get in sports. I reached out to so many different people, kind of stayed persistent on them, ended up working the World Series in 2013 as my first sports job in Boston, sort of as like an assistant for the PR staff of the Red Sox. And I used that opportunity to just network and meet as many media members in Boston as I could through that. And needless to say, I met one person from a local news station at the World Series, and a week later I was interviewing for an internship there. So I think the biggest thing for me starting out was just putting myself out there and trying to find and create as many opportunities for myself as I could. And then I also flew myself down to work SEC football for CBS while I was in college. I had met somebody through the PGA Championship back home in Rochester who was a production manager for CBS Sports, and he said, if you can get yourself down to these games, you're more than I guess willing to work them if you're okay with not breaking even with flying myself down. The flights were pretty expensive, so I got a waitressing job during the week. I had a goal in mind. Look, I want to be a reporter. I want to get as much experience in production and sports television as I can, and I want to meet as many people as I can. And I flew myself down to a bunch of games during the 2014 football season, and that was the best thing I ever did. It was an investment in my future. I had like -$9 in my bank account one week, but I met a bunch of people at CBS, ended up going to New York and working for them for almost a year while I was in school, doing, March Madness, going to the Final Four. It was a great experience. And then I think I always tried to find a way to do something that might set me apart from everyone else. It looks like you're doing that right now too, Alex.
Thank you.
And then I graduated this past spring officially, but finished classes in January. Had been doing freelance stuff with sports in Boston, and the editor-in-chief at the Herald reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in working there. And I had never worked for a newspaper before. I'd always been on the television side, but I felt like that could be a good opportunity for me to immerse myself here in this market, cover some great sports teams, and develop my on-air skill set in an environment like this instead of maybe going to a smaller market. I figured I could maybe create my own path here in Boston. So that's what I decided to do.
Okay. Well, that sounds great, and it sounds like you were having a lot of fun down there in Boston. And before we wrap up the interview, where can the fans follow you on Twitter and follow you around in your career path?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Mere, M-E-R-E, Gorman, Gorman. I try to post a lot about my life and work on there, so that's how you can follow me. I also have a Facebook page, Meredith Gorman. You can like that. I try to post a bunch of pictures from my work-related stuff. So, yeah, that's that. Thank you so much for having me on, Alex.
Yeah, no problem. And I hope to have you on very soon to talk some more Red Sox sports. You know, I love baseball season, and I'm excited that the baseball season is back. And, you know, maybe we'll talk when the Yankees are playing the Red Sox. I know the Yankees beat the Red Sox today, but that's only spring training, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to join you in a couple of weeks. We can talk more about the Red Sox. I'm so excited that it's baseball season. So looking forward to talking soon. Hope you take care. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you, Meredith. Okay, Fuse Nation, I'm coming back here live on YouTube in just a few minutes. Thanks for watching. I will see you very soon.